Well, you guys are absolutely crazy. In last week's video, I gave a little shout out to our very first PayPal supporter, and within a few hours of that video going up, I had like 5 or 6 more of you guys who visited that link and supported the channel through the PayPal. I actually just got another one today. That video's actually got quite a few views, so it's really hard for me to keep up with the comments, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I see you, I see all the comments, and I see all the support that I'm getting through the PayPal, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. This video is going to be long enough as it is, so let's go ahead and get into it. That is one dirty passenger side window. I just parked my truck and the sunlight out here, and apparently my puppy's been rubbing her big juicy nose on the window every time I take her in my truck, so I'm gonna have to take care of that. You know, I apologize for the last couple weeks. I haven't been uploading as much as I would like to. I'm sure you guys don't mind, but I've actually been moving and I've been super busy over these last couple weeks. And you know, there's been days when I have gotten time off and I was gonna come out and make a video, and then it rained or something else prevented me from getting out here. So I apologize. Hopefully we'll be done soon and we can get back out here, you know, at least a couple times a week to make videos like normal. Plus, the ammo shortage has actually become real around here. I have not been able to find 9mm ammo or 5.56 ammo in weeks, literally. And saving ammo has actually kind of become a priority of mine, so hopefully this does not last too much longer. But welcome back, everybody. Thank you for watching. I hope you're all having a good day today. So in this video, we're gonna do a little comparison today. We've obviously done a bunch of different comparisons here on the channel in the past, but we have not done one anything like this. So we're actually gonna be comparing these pistols today based on the humongous price difference between them and see if we can come to a conclusion on which one would ultimately be the best bang for your buck. One of these guns is widely recognized to be about as reliable as any handgun on the planet. That's obviously up for debate, but most people would agree that it is definitely one of the most reliable guns in the world. And the other one is famous for being the cheapest pistol in the world, or at least one of them. The cheapest working pistol in the world, I'll put it that way. So obviously very different ends of the spectrum, and this is gonna be an interesting comparison. I'm excited for this one. Let's do it. So this is the Glock 17 9mm pistol. Most of you guys watching this video probably know quite a bit about Glocks already. It seems like everybody has one of these nowadays, but they're pretty basic. They're obviously usually between $500 and $600 depending on what kind of condition they're in. Basic guns, not a lot of bells and whistles, but these are widely considered to be about as reliable as any handgun in the world. Now this is the star of the show today, the Hi-Point C9 9mm pistol, and these are also pretty well known. I'm sure most of you guys have heard about Hi-Points or seen videos of people, you know, making fun of them and stuff like that. They do get a lot of crap for how ugly they are, but they have a pretty good reputation too, depending on who you ask and what their experience is with it. But obviously there's a humongous price difference between these two guns, and like I said, this one usually runs around $500 or $600, and you can usually get a Hi-Point for around $100 to $150. So this is about the cheapest pistol in the world that works reliably enough to trick people into buying it, I guess. I also brought out a couple others as well. I got the Glock 23. This is a 40 Smith & Wesson, and then I brought out the 45 ACP Smith & Wesson Shield. These are both around the same price as the Glock, so this is not like a Glock 17 versus Hi-Point video. It's just the $500 pistol range to the $100 or $150 pistol range, which the Hi-Point kind of sits alone in that price range. There are a couple Tauruses out there now that are getting down, you know, below $200, which is crazy good deals for some of those guns, but there's not a lot of guns you're gonna find that are as cheap as the Hi-Point, and that's kind of why they're able to sell them as much as they do, because they're just so much cheaper than everything else. But the $500 to $600 price range is probably the most common for, especially like the modern polymer frame pistols like the Glock or the M&Ps and stuff like that. There's dozens of different guns that sit in that price range, but I hear from people sometimes who say they can't afford to spend $500 or $600 on a pistol, so that's where something like the Hi-Point could come in. All right, let's shoot each of these bad boys. I actually only put like 10 to 12 rounds in the Glock 17. It does hold 17, but I'm kind of low on 9mm. That's another reason why I brought out the 40 and the 45, so we can shoot more without wasting all my 9mm ammo. So we're gonna start with the Glock 17. I got my steel plate down there as well. Man, I cannot miss with the Glock 17. I love it. All right, the moment of truth and the real reason why we're here. I knew it was gonna happen. This has happened every time I brought this gun out. The slide sticks to the rear whenever I try to load the first round. I don't know why. Usually if you hit it home, it works just fine after that. All right, first shot is always weird with the Hi-Point. It feels like a brick in the hand. People talk crap about Glocks being big and, you know, kind of like a brick in your hand. It ain't got nothing on the Hi-Point. This thing is big for sure. See, I flinched bad right there. Well, it's a unique experience, I'll say that. The main problem I have with the high point, number one, is the trigger. The trigger is horrible. It's got like a 10-pound wall or something. Actually, I have my trigger gauge out here. Let's see if we can gauge the high point trigger. I think I've tried to before and it like maxed out my trigger gauge, but we'll try. The trigger gauge only goes to 8 pounds, so maybe it's not quite 10. Yep. So you can see there that it just completely maxed out my trigger gauge, which, like I said, only goes to 8 pounds, but it's above 8 pounds. So I don't know how heavy the trigger actually is because it's got such a weird trigger pull that I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually lighter than that. It's just got such a stiff, weird feeling to it that, you know, these trigger gauges aren't always 100% accurate. There's other stuff that could, you know, cause an issue with that. But the trigger's not great. It's a hard wall, and you could see me flinch on one of those shots because it's almost like I'm anticipating the Glock trigger, which I've got tens of thousands of rounds through at least, and the high point is just so much different. Plus, it digs into my hand, at least mine, like right here on my thumb. I imagine it's the little lip right there on the grip, or maybe the safety. It has a thumb safety right there, but I don't think my hand, it might be hitting the safety. It could be that metal, sharp metal safety right there. But either way, something is digging into the palm of my hand every time I shoot it. So if that was like a serious self-defense shooting, it's completely irrelevant, would not matter at all. You know, you're not gonna care about something scratching your little weak hand, but when you're out here shooting a bunch of rounds, you do start to feel it, especially after, you know, 200 or 300 rounds through a high point. At least I do. So like I said, it's a brick. It's definitely big and clunky in your hand. I have a little tactical rubber glove that they gave me with the gun. I put it over the grip because the grip is just completely smooth and it doesn't really give you any traction. The rubber ain't great, but it's better than the way it is before. Besides that, it's just clunky. It really is. It's almost funny to shoot because you can feel the slide moving back and forth. I think it's a direct blowback, so there's no like barrel lockup or nothing. You can see that the slide just goes straight to the rear. It's not like a Glock where you see the barrel kind of dip down and lock up. It is different in that way, but I've gotten so used to nice handguns, I've been kind of lucky in that way, that I didn't get a high point until about a year ago, and I didn't shoot it for the first time until then, and it's funny. It's just a funny gun to shoot, man. I don't really know how else to say it. I do like the sights. I will say, I do like the sights. I'm gonna try to get this to focus so you guys can see it maybe, but you can see it's got the red rear and the yellow front. I don't know if they're, you know, great quality. They'd probably break if you were to hit them on something, but they are adjustable. The rear sight is adjustable, which is more than you can say for the factory Glock sights. I imagine it's probably adjustable because you run a much higher risk of them being kind of out of spec, and you might have to move that rear sight to get it to shoot at the point of aim. I don't know. I've had problems missing targets with the high point, but I think a lot of it is just me flinching and thinking that I have that trigger prepped, and I don't, and then I basically flinch and throw the shot off. So that's about it, man. Like I said, $100 to $150, you cannot beat it as far as price, but you're getting what you pay for with the high point. Now, as far as their reputation, they do have a really good reputation depending on who you ask, and especially for the price. They seem to just work pretty well. I did a video last week about the like top 5 gun myths that I've heard over the years, and some people even swear up and down that their high point will outlast a Glock or something like that. I don't believe that at all, but if you're shooting, just having fun, you know, get your gun out once or twice a year, and you don't really feel the need to get anything better, then a high point will do that for you. It'll allow you to go out and shoot once in a while and not spend $500 or $1,000 on a really nice handgun. So that's the high point. It is 8+1, so you're sacrificing quite a bit of capacity compared to the Glock 17, which is 17+1. Obviously, it's got a little bit longer grip. I believe this is a compact pistol, but even if you get like a compact, like a Glock 19, it will still hold 15+1. So the double stack magazine is obviously a huge advantage and gives you quite a bit more capacity. I'm not going to go into a lot of details on the Glock. I'm assuming most of you guys know a lot about Glocks, probably more than I do. Everybody has Glocks. They're really minimalistic, if that's a word. They don't have a lot of bells and whistles. They don't have crazy gadgets and stuff like that on them, but I would probably trust my life to a Glock more than any gun that I've ever owned. There are some out there that I trust as much as a Glock, but nothing that I would trust more than a Glock. They just work. There's a reason that 75–80% of the police officers in the country carry Glocks. You know, a lot of the military is using Glocks now. You really can't deny that a Glock will run just about anything. I even get funny comments sometimes from people if I'm doing like an ammo test and I say, let's test the reliability of the ammo, and I bring out the Glock. Everybody says, shoot it in something else. That Glock will cycle a turd if you put it in there. So it's kind of a joke because they're just so reliable. It is quite a bit more money than the High Point, but you're getting, one of the most reliable handguns in the world. Let's go ahead and gauge the Glock since we did the High Point. So the High Point we don't know. It was 8.5 plus. That's all we really know because the trigger gauge only goes to 8 pounds. The Glocks usually break around 6 pounds for me, so. Yep, right in between 6 and 6.5 pounds for the Glock trigger. So 6 pounds obviously isn't light, but I think that's kind of perfect for a self-defense handgun or something that you're going to carry. Obviously you don't want the trigger to be too light, so I say 5 to 6 pounds is kind of that sweet spot. Glock 17. Try it one-handed. I don't know why, but it's making the leaves fall off the trees. I guess it's the concussion, I don't know. And the High Point. And there's our slide stick. That first shot always surprises me. I hit the wood underneath the target, I saw that one. There we go. It locked open. That's a big difference from the Glock. So I think this magazine is actually a Glock 22 magazine. You can see how it's kind of extended a little bit. More rounds is better. Let's try this one one-handed. 40. The ejection in the Glock 23 I've noticed is kind of sporadic. Like sometimes they hit me in the face or land on top of my head. It works, it's never had a problem, but it does eject a little different than the Glock 17. 45 ACP, Smith & Wesson Shield. As always, I want to thank Turtle Lake Tactical. He gave me this gun a couple years ago for no reason, just called me and said he wanted to give it to me. So I want to thank turtlelaketactical.com for that. Visit their website and check them out. All right. I got bug spray on my hands when I first came out here, and these guns are kind of slippery. Not an excuse, I promise. Man. That's a big jump. That is a big jump in recoil from the others, for sure. It kind of feels like it's going through my ear pro even. Definitely a loud little blaster for sure. You know what? I've had these laying around for years now and I've never shot them. It's the CCI 9mm Luger shot shell. So we're gonna see what these do. I doubt they're very powerful, but you can see it's just a little shot shell for a 9mm, a bunch of tiny little BBs in there. So we're gonna see if they cycle the slide on my Glock. I doubt they will, but you know the ammo shortage is real when you're breaking out the snake shot. All right, here we go. No recoil, I bet. Wow, more recoil than I expected, that's for sure. It cycled and locked the slide open. Let's dual wield these suckers, because 2 guns is always better than 1. All right, I'm going High Point left hand on this, so pray for me, guys. Here we go. Did you guys hear that? I wasn't aiming well. I was kind of just point shooting, and my High Point for the first 4 or 5 shots was nailing that steel target, and the Glock wasn't. Dual wielding is not as you gotta be careful dual wielding like that, because you could easily cross paths with your barrels, and you obviously don't want to do nothing like that. So you want to be careful about what you're doing. But for the first 4 or 5 shots, I was kind of aiming and trying to go slow, and then I just said screw it and just started firing them, you know, pretty quick. With the high point, I was smoking that steel without even really aiming, whereas with the Glock, I was missing like crazy. So, okay, video's over, get the high point. So I think I've kind of told you guys pretty much everything you need to know about the high point. Obviously the Glock, there's just endless information and videos out there on them. But one more thing I want to talk about is breaking the guns down to clean them and lubricate them. The Glock is notoriously easy for that. There's just these two little spring-loaded latches right there, and you just kind of half cock the slide, pull down on those, the slide comes right off. Actually, pull back on the slide, pull those down, and the slide comes off, and you can disassemble the gun from there. Whereas the high point, you do need tools, and you actually need something to punch a roll pin out, and then the slide will come off. You don't need tools technically, but you do need, you know, something else to break the gun down, whereas the Glock, you don't. You can be out in the middle of the woods, butt naked by yourself, and you can take that gun apart if you needed to. Don't gunfight butt naked though, that's not good. Before I completely run out of 9mm ammo, I guess I should go ahead and tell you guys kind of what my opinion is on this. So I imagine most of you already know what I'm gonna say, but basically the generic answer is get what you can afford. If you just cannot afford a $500 pistol for whatever reason, you know, everyone's financial situation is different, I would always recommend that you look for used Glocks. Like there's police trade-ins you can get good deals on if they're not too beat up. But if you can't afford that either, then there is a tier in between the high point and the Glock, like that $300 range that you could look at. I think the Canics might fall in that area. I've heard they're really good guns. So again, the Tauruses are in the $200 range to $300. It's all just about what you can afford, man. If you absolutely cannot afford more than $50 or $100 on a gun, the high point is probably gonna be what you have to end up buying. And like I said, mine has worked flawlessly so far. It's got a few hundred rounds through it, and I've never had a single malfunction. The slide sticks, which is annoying, but as far as the gun actually, you know, malfunctioning while I'm shooting, it's never happened. So it has run flawlessly for me, and apparently a lot of people have good track records with these high points. So 10 times out of 10, I would recommend the Glock over the high point. I think you all knew that before you clicked on the video, but there is definitely, you know, a market for the high points, and some people just aren't gun enthusiasts. They don't care to get the most reliable gun or the best gun. They don't plan on using it for anything other than once a year, taking it out of the safe and going out in the woods and shooting a few rounds. If that's the case and you don't want to spend more than $100, then the high point will work just fine for you. But be prepared to get made fun of if somebody sees you out there with this hideous little gun. God, you're ugly. And that is going to conclude the video for today, guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I didn't get to shoot a little bit more. You guys know I like to shoot a lot if I can, but like I said, it really is starting to become kind of a real concern of mine that I'm not going to be able to find ammo for too much longer. I went to the gun shop today, a few of them, and no 9mm as always. The guy said that he had got some in, and within 25 minutes it was gone. So unfortunately, the videos are going to have to suffer until we can find some more ammo. It's not just the 9 either, it's most common calibers. I'm realizing that I have too many common caliber guns. I need to start getting some different stuff. So either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found it helpful. If you are on the fence between a Glock and a high point, maybe this video kind of helped you out a little bit. I'm sure most of you already knew what my opinion was going to be on this, and I imagine most of you probably share that opinion. The high points are what they are. They're high points. They're kind of the butt of everyone's joke because they're just ugly. They're, you know, annoying to shoot. They have all these weird little problems. But the bottom line is they typically go bang when you pull the trigger, and at the end of the day, that's what's most important. So if you did like the video, guys, please let me know down in the comments. As always, hit that like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.